What's going on, everybody? Chavis here. I got some things I want to talk about. I don't know how deep I'm going to get. Pepper's going to be stomping around behind me, so we're in my quiet place. This is where I like to come to and just relax. It's very quiet and peaceful out here. And I can come out here and think and process and regroup and leave here a better person. Pray, whatever. I'm just gonna say it. Come down here and I pray sometimes. So what I want to talk about, rant about, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, we put out a video last night that we mentioned another social media platform being TikTok, and I noticed we getting a lot of comments, and I'm not a spokesperson for TikTok or Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or Twitter or none of that stuff. I'm not promoting any of these platforms, but we're going to talk about TikTok in particular and Facebook and YouTube, because those are some platforms that we use pretty regularly with Chase Holland Racing. TikTok being the newest platform that we are using. And you might be like, we don't care. We don't want to hear about that Chinese company and all that. So I feel like I need to explain. And again, I'm not trying to sell them. I don't care if you watch them or not. We're going to be on all the platforms. But what you all need to keep in mind, or don't keep in mind, I don't care. I'm just explaining. Chase Holland Racing is a business. Chase Holland Racing is a business. It is a racing team, and it's a family, and we get to go around and race and everything. But over these past 3 years, it has grown into what I would call a successful business. Like, Chase has people reaching out to him, asking advice and wanting to know about social media and all this kind of stuff. And he's not even big, but obviously he's figured something out, or we've figured something out to get out and reach people with our social media presence. And it must be interesting, intriguing to people, because we have a lot of people wanting to know more, wanting to know. And when we first started doing it, people looked at us like we were crazy. Most people. And when I say people, I'm talking about people in the racing industry. I can remember the first time we met the Mars family, up at MB Custom. Cade Dillard, I'll even go back before we met Mars. We met Cade Dillard, and Cade had no clue who we were, and which was fine. And we knew of Cade just from his racing successes, and we bought a car through him and had him do some work on it and went and picked it up. And when we went to pick it up, I remember Cade telling me, he was like, I had no idea who y'all were. And he said, I've had so many people come in my shop and be like, oh, there it is. That's Chase Holland's car. We heard you had it here. And Cade's like, who is this kid? And we laughed about it, and he didn't really, go into a whole lot of conversation about it, but obviously he had people come to his shop that knew that our car was there from social media. And that was pretty cool to him and to us. And then the same way with Jimmy and them, when we went up there, Jimmy and them didn't have a clue who we were, and all he was worried about was, I asked if we could film in there, and he said, absolutely, but all I ask is that you don't put other people's cars in the video, because I don't want, anybody thinking that we're sharing their information or anything. Or he said, I just don't want a situation that I have to explain my way out of, so to speak. So it'd just be best if we focused on just what y'all are doing and just don't video around in my shop that much. And I'm like, hey, I respect that. That's why I asked. And through the years, obviously Jimmy's probably watched our videos and realizes that we're not trying to zoom in on his stuff and post it and say, look what we saw in his shop, so he's been a lot more open about it and got on camera and cuts up with us. And there's a lot of times I wish I did have the camera on, because, you know, he's a trip. The whole crew, man, they're great. But, you know, and a lot of people are wanting to do what we're doing in the racing industry, because it's a good way to reach a lot of people. And so to keep from rambling here, let me just get to the point. When I see comments about, you know, y'all are quitting what you're doing, and I only found y'all because of YouTube, and I don't watch that Chinese company on TikTok or, you know, Facebook, whatever it is, man, all of these platforms are owned by people that most of the people watching this video probably don't line up with the same views that the owners of those platforms have. I'm just being honest. I mean, because I know who I am as a person, and I know what I believe, and I can almost bet you that these platform owners, creators, the people making the money off of these platforms don't believe the same things that I believe. And I deal with that every day. You know, we own businesses, and we work hand in hand with people that we invite into our business and hire them, and they can believe whatever they want, you know, because this is a free country and everything. So I don't want to say I don't care what people believe, because I think that, you know, my religion and things are, I think it's the way to go. I think we have a grand creator, and that's God, Jesus Christ. And I believe that we will all have to bow down and answer to him someday. And I believe that. And some people don't believe that. And I work hand in hand with those people that don't believe that. And it's my duty to try to just be a good person and make them interested in what makes us good people. So I just try to reach people that kind of way. And anyway, I may have done lost all of y'all by now, but anyway, so let's talk about YouTube, because a lot of the comments are, I'm not leaving here and I'll only be on YouTube. Well, you know, YouTube is the way we make 90% of our income from Chase Holland Racing. That's the way Chase gets paid. I'm going to say 90% of his income comes through YouTube. Well, YouTube is owned by Google. So our check is Google AdSense. So, you know, to hear these people talk about how terrible these other platforms are, and I'm only here, and I'm not here bashing YouTube. I'm just letting you know that all of these people are all the same. They are. All these platforms, whether you like it or not, they're all very similar in certain ways. And I just look at it as a job that we report to, and that the owners have different beliefs than the employees, but we're just here to do a job and get paid. And if we can touch a life while we're on the clock and guide them what we consider the right way, then I'm all for that. And, you know, that's just the way we live. And so the other thing about YouTube that some of y'all may or may not know, and some of y'all may or may not agree with, and I'm not on here boasting or trying to say we're this kind of way or that kind of way, but you have to be careful what you say in a video. And I'm not talking about cuss words and stuff. I'm talking about if you say Jesus Christ, if you say the Bible, if you say praying, if you say Christians, if you say, there's a lot of key words. You know, I laid awake this morning just thinking about, am I going to make a video about this? Because it's opening a can of worms. You know, my dad taught me a long time ago, and there's a song about it. You don't talk about politics, religion, and her. And there's a lot of truth to that old country song, and my dad said that all the time. So I don't want to touch too much, but I just want to be clear and hope that you all understand when we put a video out, the words in our video are scanned through like it's computer stuff, AI stuff, and they scan through this whole video. And I've tested this in the past, y'all. If we pray, or if I have the prayer from the racetrack, or if we mention God or Jesus or anything like that, those videos, they still post them, but those videos are in a different algorithm. Like, they do not reach the same amount of people. Like, I could probably do this exact same video right here, except every one of those words that I said, if I held up a piece of paper and you read it on there, that video would go further than this actual video where I'm actually saying the words, because Google, YouTube, whatever you want to call them, they don't want those words in their videos. And they probably don't want Facebook, TikTok. They probably don't want these other platforms mentioned in their video content, because they're all fighting for your attention. So we started this channel with our Facebook page, and we had a big following on Facebook because we did the funny, crazy things you hear at the dirt track videos, and we were not monetized back then, but they got a lot of attention and they got a lot of reach, and we grew really big on Facebook because of it. And then when we got ready to start doing the videos, we were doing videos on Facebook, but we weren't getting paid. So we moved over to YouTube, and we were able to bring a lot of y'all from Facebook to YouTube, and that was great. But it was hard, and back then I couldn't understand why it was so hard. We've got 40,000 people here. Why can't we just get them over here? You know, we're asking them to go, but when we would ask them to go, that particular post wouldn't reach anybody. And then I finally over time, I caught on that if I'm trying to take people from Facebook and move them to YouTube, Facebook's like, no, this one doesn't go anywhere. So they take that post and they slide it to the side, and none of y'all see it. And the same way with YouTube. You know, if we start talking about TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and all that, they're going to be like, yeah, nobody needs to see this video. And the same way about Jesus Christ and Christians and praying and God and all that stuff. Nobody needs to hear about that. You know, get that out of here. So there's a lot of times, you know, a lot of things that we've learned over the years and kind of evolved into what we are today. And we hadn't changed as people, but we just understand that this is our job, and we have to, you know, to be careful how we talk while we're on the clock, so that we don't get fired, so to speak. So with all that said, this business that we're trying to continue to grow, we've hit a plateau, and we're just under 30,000 subscribers, and it's just there. We're just locked. So our plan this year is to get out way further personally, like live, and reach way more people and grow Chase Holland Racing, not only on YouTube, but just as a brand. You know, we've grown Chase Holland Racing into it's something that I'm very proud of. Chase is real humble, so he's like, you know, I'm not really, but I'm very proud of what Chase is, and the whole name and everything, and it's a brand. I mean, companies are coming on board, and businesses, and, you know, a lot of small businesses, and I support small businesses because I own a couple small businesses. I'm friends with a lot of people that own businesses, you know, small businesses, so I try to support small businesses. But, you know, with all that being said, I also am smart enough as a business owner to realize that my business is not as strong as it was pre-COVID, and that's another word that you're not allowed to say, but pre-COVID, my business was way stronger than it is right now today. And I don't want to get into politics and all that, but let's just talk about what kind of shock that was to us. You know, that the COVID pandemic shut my business down completely, and that had never happened in all the years we had it, you know, 14, 15 years at the time. And so here we were shut down against our will and having to refund money to people for deposits and things, and money that we had already sent to another company. So anyhow, it just made things, it made me think differently as a business owner, to the point that I'm like, okay, I've always been against online sales, but that's what we're fighting still today, because that time that we were all locked down, we all got so used to getting on the electronics, boom, 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 and ordering something, whether it was groceries at Walmart or a pair of shoes or whatever. We order. Well, eventually people get so used to that now they're ordering dresses and tuxedos and things like that, and that's the business we're in. So now my little small business that used to compete with a couple big stores and mostly a bunch of small businesses just like itself, now we find ourselves competing with the internet, and the internet's a lot bigger than we are. So my business is even looking into social media a lot stronger. You know, we grew those businesses on Facebook back in the day, and now Facebook's not what it was, and TikTok is the new big thing. So love it or hate it, I'm not sitting here telling you I love it, and I heard about who owned it and they're stealing your information and blah 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 blah. But when I look at where that came from the government and from the big media. And you know, I don't know. I know some of the comments that I personally said on my Facebook page got fact checked and taken down, and I'm like, well, it was true, but okay, who fact checked it? Well, they fact checked it, whoever they are. That's the same people that said that TikTok was owned by China. Well, what I've found about TikTok, it's actually a lot more open, and I follow quite a few pastors on TikTok, and I follow individuals just like myself that are Christian people that are very vocal about, and they read Bible verses and things. And man, I love TikTok for that, because I get a lot of good information, in my opinion, from TikTok. And when it comes to them sharing information or tracking, I mean, I don't know, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to be any certain way, but if you and your buddy sitting in a vehicle together and you got YouTube on or you got Facebook, and I'm not trying to scare y'all, I'm just being honest, you've got either one of them two social media platforms pulled up on your phone, and you say, man, I was looking at a red Honda four-wheeler, you know, I was thinking about getting one, and they want $59.95 for one, and I don't know, I'm gonna start looking. Chances are next time you pick your phone up on one of those platforms, you're going to see a commercial or a preview or an ad for a red Honda four-wheeler. And that's not a coincidence. These people are listening and getting your microphones on, and they're getting your information and picking up these keywords where that's how they're making money. They're putting these ads in front of you. So, you know, TikTok, if they're bad, they're no different than these other platforms. That's my only point. So I'm not telling you that you should go on TikTok and start watching it. I'm just telling you that TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, they're all basically, they're different, but they're all basically the same from that aspect. And that's just my rant for today. And I had planned on I had planned on sharing my testimony with y'all. As y'all know, man, I'm up in my feelings because a couple of days ago was a 2-year anniversary of losing my dad. And, you know, it hadn't gotten any easier. It is what it is. I'm sad. I miss him. We're not racing right now. That always makes things harder because my mind's not in racing. It's rambling on and all this other stuff going on. So it's kind of it's just a deal that's got me up in my feelings. And every year, about 5 years ago, I sat down on New Year's and just started typing. And Adrian's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, I'm doing something. I'm just writing something. And I just bam, 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 bam. And I just started typing, man. And God had been, I felt like God had been telling me, Chavis, you need to share your testimony. You need to sit down, take the time and write your testimony. And it was all right here, man. And I just took off and just started typing it. And I typed out my whole testimony. It took me a whole day or half a day. I don't remember. It took a long time. And I typed it all out and kept proofreading it and coming back. And when I was done, I was like, "Adrian, come read this." And she just read it, just sat there just crying. And she was like, "Wow." And, you know, and with over time, I kind of feel like I'm not trying to bounce all over, but I talked to my preacher the other day because we're gearing up for Night to Shine, which is a Tim Tebow special needs prom that we host at our church. And I don't go to church regularly. I need to be clear with y'all. I am a Christian, but I'm not in church every Sunday, and I'm not perfect by any means. I'm a sinner. But I do have a relationship with Christ, and I'm very vocal about that. But me and the preacher was talking, and Brother Paul was like, "Chaps, I'd like to see you back at church." And I just kind of smiled, and he said, "You knew I was going to get you on." I said, "Yes, sir. I knew it." And we just laughed. And I told him, I said, "You know, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses or nothing, but I said, I feel like God has, you know, basically called me to do it another kind of way." And I said, I'm sharing my testimony with people. Anybody that buys a shirt from us or walks up and requests or whatever. I'm not pushing. I'm not beating people over the head with a Bible because I'm not that guy. But when I wrote my testimony, I did it because I felt like God put it on my heart to share it. And the whole point of my whole testimony is to say that God is with you all the time, no matter who you are or what you've done or what you think about yourself. God is with you. No matter how bad your life seems or how great it seems, God is with you. And I told my story about how I believed in God, but I never tried to communicate with him until I was desperate, till I was backed in a corner and didn't know what to do, scared. That's when I always was like, man, I need to pray. I need to ask God to get me out of this. And when he got me out, man, he got me out of so much stuff. I never thanked him. I never gave him the credit. I was like, yeah, I did it, man. I knew I could get through this. And I never checked back and was like, you know, hold up, hold up. What happened to the coward that was here a minute ago that was just bawling and whining and crying, and now all of a sudden you're beating your chest like a hero? So it finally clicked, and that's my whole point, you know, is just to let everybody know that God's with them at all times, and you know, just give him all praise and glory. I mean, that's all he requests. And some may disagree, some agree. I'm not here to argue that. I'm just telling you, I'll share my story. Adrian has actually read my testimony on this channel, and I'm thinking I'm gonna read it myself here soon, possibly real soon. So that's all I'm gonna ramble about today. I don't mean to stir any of y'all up. I'm not trying to pick a fight. I'm not trying to get a debate going. I'm not trying to get views. Like I said, this video probably won't go anywhere because of all the words that I said, but if you do see it, that's my explanation of why things are what they are. And again, I'm not a perfect person. I've had people, that's what I was getting at with my testimonies. We send them out with shirts. Man, I've had so many people reach back to me and say, I wasn't even going to read that because I thought that was just some old Bible stuff. And man, I needed that, you know, because it's just my life, and it relates to, it basically tells the story of me and Adrian meeting to where we were when I wrote that 5 years ago. And I can tell you, God has blessed me way beyond that from there to here. So there's just blessings upon blessings, but he's always with us. He's with you. He's with me. And I just hope y'all know that, and I hope y'all realize that, and I hope you slow down long enough in your day to thank him for the blessings in your life. So that's all I'm gonna say right there. I'm gonna leave it alone, and I love all y'all, I really do. So later.